In this video, we're going to learn how to practice mindfulness meditation. It's a relatively simple practice. Scientific studies have shown strong evidence that practicing meditation for 20 minutes, 5 days a week, for at least 2 months can create physical changes in some of the most important parts of the brain. These changes help us to manage stress and emotions more effectively. Gradually, we connect with our essence and begin to radiate joy, serenity, peace, willpower, love, and forgiveness. Meditation isn't hard. All you have to do is step away from everything for a while. This is a break from life. If thoughts come, they come. I'm not going to fight them. I'm not going to reject them. I'm just going to remain relaxed for a while, observing my mind, my thoughts. Once the habit is incorporated into your life, eventually you'll get tired of listening to your own mind. You will have resolved many issues, or you will have heard them enough to understand them. The meditative state is a state of consciousness, of presence. It is the sacred art of being present, in the here and now, connected, observing our thoughts without judging them, that endless chatter, and try to keep an eye on our internal monologue that is the key to emotional strength. Mindfulness refers to full attention, to the ability to be fully present. It is an English term that encompasses a collection of well-known practices, such as meditation. As a result of many scientific studies, the use of mindfulness for stress reduction has become widely popular. It is said that its creator is Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, who discovered over 2,500 years ago that when we observe our minds with full attention, our thoughts, we come to realize that in most cases we don't actually identify with the program that has been implanted in our minds since childhood. Meditation is a broader concept than mindfulness, and there are many types of meditation, but essentially, what meditation seeks is to calm the mind. But why is it so hard to quiet the mind? Why do so many people struggle to incorporate meditation into their lives? In several videos, we've explained how the mind works, including processes like rumination, autopilot mode, and cognitive biases. It turns out we have a tremendous cage of crickets in our heads, thousands of daily thoughts that bombard us. This is what's known as the monkey mind, an incessant noise that hammers at us, and we've gotten so used to that mental noise that we've normalized it. It's like a wild animal running, causing chaos and shouting. It's completely out of control. Consciousness is capable of observing that chaotic inner chatter, and with discernment and insight, it can modify it, tame it. You have to witness this internal whirlwind of overthinking before you begin to feel unsettled and start to detach from it. And in that detachment, you'll find freedom. You are more than the mental noise that constantly fills your head. Whether through spirituality, religion, Buddhism, or any path you choose, you'll come to understand that you aren't just your mind. You're not defined by your habits or preferences. At your essence, you are awareness. You are a body, too. As modern humans, we often disconnect from our bodies and from the present moment. We live on autopilot. There's an analogy often used in the Eastern world that says, you are the sky, and your thoughts are the clouds. So we are the sky, much more than the clouds. We are much more than our thoughts. A lot of that mental noise comes from patterns that were ingrained in us by society and the environment when we were younger. In a sense, you're a collection of DNA that responded to everything around you as you grew. You've internalized both positive and negative experiences, and now you use those past moments to judge everything that happens. You end up projecting your history onto the future, trying to predict and control what's coming. As you age, the collection of preferences and habits you've built over time becomes enormous. These ingrained reactions start to act like runaway freight trains, taking control of your life without you even realizing it. It's like you're running a software program based on the information you've stored in your mind throughout your life. And you do this on autopilot, barely aware of why you act the way you do. We've identified with our thoughts, thinking that we are what we think. But we are not what we think, nor are we what we eat or what we feel or what we achieve. We are none of that. As you observe your thoughts, you begin to notice how many of them are driven by fear. The instant you recognize a fear, it tends to dissolve on its own, almost without effort. Over time, your mind starts to quiet down. If you can just stop your inner chatter for a few minutes and let go of obsessing over your personal story. You'll realize how far we've come in meeting our basic needs. You'll realize we are really far up Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Life is actually pretty great. The mind is like a muscle, it can be trained and shaped. When that happens, you begin to see the world differently. You stop taking everything for granted. You start to appreciate the small things. You think, wow, I'm lucky to live in such a beautiful place. It's amazing that I can shower every day with hot water. I have plenty of food. Look at how many people surround me, each unfolding their own lives in their minds. When you observe your mind with awareness, you begin to untangle your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. This gives you the power to reshape it. You can rewrite the mental patterns that no longer serve you. Meditation is about disconnecting from the influence of society and tuning into your own inner voice. It's an internal state of revolution. It's all about self-awareness and self-discovery, a lifelong journey that evolves as you continue to grow. So a big habit is trying to calm your monkey mind. It's all about habits. As kids, we're like blank slates, fully immersed in the present moment. We mostly react to what's around us, guided by our instincts. Puberty marks the beginning of desire. The first time you truly long for something and start planning for the future. It's when you begin to think more, shape your identity, and build an ego to pursue what you want. Buddhists talk about awareness versus the ego. It's about letting the ego go. With practice, the ego gradually fades away. And what remains? A deep connection with what has always been there, the being. We are the being, as in our childhood before we had developed the ego's character, which has evolved as a survival and defense mechanism since our early years. The one who lives subjugated by the dictates of the ego lives in a maximum security prison, a mental cage, trapped by cognitive biases, fears, limiting beliefs, anxiety about the future. More than 90% of the population in the West suffers from stress, which is a direct cause of serious diseases like cancer. The key to overcoming this is mastering your mind. Master your mind, master your life. The one who is trapped by their ego is the one who has thoughts like, how can I take advantage of another person? But many times, it's not that people are inherently bad. The problem often lies in a lack of awareness. What the ego seeks is to protect us from anything that causes us pain or negative emotions. No one likes to feel rejected, to be wrong, to be ignored, to be betrayed, to be abandoned, or to make mistakes. To preserve our sense of worth as a defense mechanism and to avoid those negative emotions, the ego emerges, acting as an entity within our subconscious. Perhaps the most important thing is to develop the ability to have discernment, to filter the information you receive, to know which is correct and which is incorrect. To do this, we need to attain discernment. And for this, you can use tools like our intuition as a compass and maps like the Enneagram. I'll leave a distribution list of related videos on the Enneagram in the description. Aware individuals introduce good information into their minds daily, read every day, listen to good podcasts or videos, and set aside time for reflection. Little by little, they learn, gaining discernment. They are capable of reprogramming themselves with wisdom and overcoming false beliefs. And this is thanks to neuroplasticity. I'll leave a link to a video on how to reprogram your subconscious in the description below. And contrary to what has been said, it is scientifically proven that we can learn new things at any age. It is scientifically well tested that both when we meditate and when we learn, very good things happen in the brain. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to form new neural connections. Nature is so wise that the brain's flexibility is immense at any age. It doesn't matter if you're 20, 70, or 105 years old. The attitude should be that of a beginner. What truly improves this is, fundamentally, humility, interest, and curiosity. I don't know, but I want to know. Then you stop believing that you are what you think, and begin to observe the mind from the outside. Serenity and calm arrive, bringing inner peace and full attention to the present, because at the end of the day, we are far more than just our ego. The person, the being, is not the character, the ego. The most important relationship in our lives is the one we have with ourselves. The key to inner strength is our inner dialogue. Master your mind. Master your life. Indeed, by observing our minds with awareness and full attention, we can gradually begin to discern the extent of the ego, the mask, the defense mechanisms, and where the true self, our being, begins. But another fundamental aspect of meditation is calming the mind, reaching the meditative state. An altered state of consciousness, one of calm. How can we predispose ourselves to reach that altered state of consciousness, that sense of calm? By creating an environment. The ideal conditions are silence, for some darkness, while others prefer to meditate under the sun. Some prefer doing it with their eyes closed or slightly open. Some people adopt postures like sitting upright or in the lotus position. Immersed in this ritual, we'll let thoughts pass by like clouds without judgment. The breath should be deep and mindful. Your breath is one of the few functions where your autonomic nervous system and voluntary nervous system intersect. It happens automatically, but you also have the ability to control it. It serves as a doorway into your autonomic nervous system. Many people find that the more they try to calm the mind, the more ruminations, more chaos, more noise. This is because the strategy is wrong. Carl Jung said, "What you resist persists." We can't fight against our thoughts because that will only produce more of them. And it's not about trying to clear the mind. This is an urban myth. What happens is that the mind will naturally become blank as a result of this practice. In reality, it's about letting the thoughts go on their own. If on the other hand you fight them, give them attention, overthink, the number of thoughts will multiply. Explosion. Eventually, through training the mind, it begins to calm down, and with practice, it can even reach a blank state. This is the meditative state. With practice, the ego gradually fades away. Just treat negative thoughts like unwelcome guests. So what does a good host do when faced with a bad guest? Deal with them properly. Just because a bad guest asks you to act poorly doesn't mean you have to. When faced with a negative thought, don't engage with it. Redirect your focus to your body and breath. You don't need to fight it. Simply guide your attention back to your center. And this is how the magic happens. Little by little you begin to detach from the negative thoughts, without force. They will fade away because they lack energy. They lack your attention. Wise people are those who stay connected to their true essence and act with the intention to contribute, sharing kindness, vitality, and health, much like the natural innocence of a child. Gradually you begin to notice things you couldn't see before, burdens that were holding you back and creative abilities you didn't know you had. Confidence, joy, and inner peace start to emerge within you. Like the caveman who has lived in the cave his whole life and suddenly steps out of the cave, out of the known, and enters an unknown zone of stillness. This is the key and the proposal for today. Freedom is a daily conquest. The free person is the one who chooses how they want to respond. The measure of a human being is seen in the decisions they make in the most difficult moments. Gradually, the habit of meditation and training the mind leads us to begin radiating from our essence. It emanates joy, serenity, peace, willpower, love, and forgiveness. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please leave a like. I'll see you in the next one.